Hello there, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a deck profile on Dialga, which actually is a card that's been around for a while, but actually the new Metang that releases is a pretty nice new way to power it up with Metang's new ability that lets you look at the top 4 cards of your deck and then attach any number of metal energy you find there to your Pokemon, and then you shuffle the cards that are metal energy and actually put them on the bottom, which is a pretty nice ability when you consider you can get out 2-3 Metangs, and then not only will you get to see 8 or 12 cards, but also the cards that are metal energies are going to be getting shuffled to the bottom, which just means that the chances of you seeing more metal energies are actually going to be increased. So we're going to be using this new Metang to power up Dialga, which is a card that's been pretty good actually. Consider all things considered in its lifespan, had that like Turbo Dialga that was a pretty decent deck for a little bit, and then the Dialga Magnezone at the start of this Scarlet and Violet format was played around with a little bit, but Metang does give this deck a bit of a new kind of coat of paint. So the Dialga, it's been around for a while, but the Metal Blast for one colorless, you deal 40 damage for every, or 40 plus 40 for every metal energy attached to the Dialga, which is a pretty good one-shot attack. And then the Star Chronos, which is the main thing that you're playing the deck for 5 energy, you deal 220, and you take an entire another turn. And that's kind of like the epitome of the Dialga, is what you're building up to, is that Star Chronos, take a prize card or two, and then take an entire another turn, which will reset your Metang, so you can even just snowball more energies and more energies into play. That is the idea of the deck. We are going to be playing a copy of the Zation from Crown Zenith as a little bit of an alternate attacker. It actually has a pretty decent attack in Battle Legion. For a metal energy, you deal 20 damage and then 10 more for each of your bench Pokemon. So this will cap at 70. But if you have a full bench, Zation is going to be hitting 70 damage, which would be KOing like Ralts. Depending on which Ralts is, you can actually have less Pokemon. You actually KO with weakness because you're Metal type. You can be KOing Ralts, Pidgey, Charmander, all those little bench Pokemon. And it can also get in a nice poke on a Pokemon to be able to finish it off with Star Chronos as well. And then the Slicing Blade for 3 energy is 100 as well, which is another kind of nice poke attack that you can use before you come in with your Dialga for a V-Star knockout, which is pretty cool. So the Zation is a nice alternate attacker. Additionally, you could try playing a Metagross, which is a little bit of an expensive attacker, but can do 200 damage, which isn't bad. So those kind of are like the two options. Going with the Zation for this one, just because it's a nice, solid basic attacker. We have one copy of Raining Greninja, of course, which in combination with Codebreaker can be used to set up your deck. Similarly to Rotom, we can Codebreaker into Rotom Instant Charge if we go second, in order to find the exact cards we're going to need. And then the final Pokemon in the deck list is Squawkabilly for a little bit more turbo. And the Swears is very standard. 4 copies of Codebreaker, which allows you to search your deck for 2 cards, shuffle your deck, put those on top, which not only will allow you to, like I mentioned, Greninja into those cards, Rotom into those cards, and we're also playing 2 copies of Trekking Shoes, so you can Trekking Shoes into those cards. But you can stack 2 Energy on the top of your deck and guarantee 2 hits off of Metang as well for your Dialga. So the Codebreaker has a lot of uses there. Also 4 copies of Aono. And that's it for the supporters. Just draw, and then just a solid supporter that is Codebreaker in the deck. No copies of Boss. We just want to focus the deck list on setting up our Dialga as much as possible. But no Boss is not that bad, because of course we do have access to Prime Catcher as well, which is the ace spec in the list. You notice there's a lot of Pokemon search here. 4 Nest Ball, 4 Capturing Aroma, 4 Buddy Poffin, and then 2 Ultra Ball. And all this is useful for getting our deck up and running, of course. Buddy Poffin will allow us to get a bunch of build-ups down very, very quickly. Capturing Aroma, it's kind of annoying to search evolutions in this format, so we're playing Capturing Aroma, which not only can find yourself some basics, but also will be able to search out Metangs and Dialgas if you flip heads, which isn't bad. And then 2 Ultra Ball, which will just get any Pokemon you want, but it does come at the cost of 2 cards, which can be a little bit annoying. Next, 2 copies of Trekking Shoes, which, like I mentioned, has great synergy with Codebreaker and just a little bit of extra turbo as well. 2 copies of Super Rod, which was useful for recycling our 2-3 Dialga line. The reason I went with the 2-3 is you can have enough Dialga Vs where you can actually get 2 benched, and then 2 Dialga V-Stars, so you can have at least 1 that's in play and attacking. And then if you prize the other one, you still have a Super Rod, so you can Super Rod it back. But the Super Rods also allow you to recycle energies in the deck, so you have a higher chance of hitting off of Metang as well. I mentioned the 1 copy of Prime Catcher as our Gust effect. And the additional buff of playing Rotom, you actually get to run a Force Seal Stone for a little bit extra potential for just searching out a card. So Force Seal Stone, if you can draw into it, is super duper good. So why not play one copy of it if you're also playing Rotom? You could also try playing Illuminion and Arven in here as well, which can allow you to directly search out the Forest Seal Stone too. And then our Metal Energy counts can be 15, which might be too little, might be too much. I'm not exactly sure. I feel like you're going to have to try and get a feel for the Metang and what the appropriate number of energy is. But I'm going with 15 for now. 15 is also considered a pretty high energy count. And with Super Rod and with Codebreaker, we should be hitting energies off of our Metang a good amount of the time. Not to mention, like I said, the extra cards that aren't energies are going to get shuffled at the bottom, so you have a higher chance of hitting energies that each Metang you use. So 15, I feel like, is a pretty decent number, at least to start out with. And then that is the deck list. This is a pretty interesting deck. Like I mentioned, Dialga has been around for a while at this point. And it's just always been a little bit hard to power up. The Turbo Dialga deck was pretty good and fun, really fun. I played the deck a bit when it first came out. But this is kind of like the next evolution of the Dialga, using the Metang as a pretty efficient means to accelerate energy. And yeah, that's going to be the Decklist, guys. If you guys liked it, don't forget to leave a like. If you guys want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one.